Yeah, we're live now, but you are you're a little bit grainy or a little out of focus, but yet we still get the essence of Jeremy Brech.
That's just me.
And just you can still bring it, even though you're a little out of focus, a little grainy.
I'm always unfocused.
You kind of are, but we didn't want to say that.
It's okay.
We are back for session number 2 tonight, and this is our time. We're going to have a couple of lighting segments tonight, and this is our time to talk wedding lighting as we get ready and kind of start thinking about 2017. Jeremy, thank you for joining me tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John. I always look forward to being on.
Yeah, great to have you. Let's just dive right in because we've got some really cool. We'll talk a little bit, and we got to do our sponsor stuff, and then we'll come back and really get into it. So, what are some things as we're starting to think about 2017? We've got brides calling, and we want to book our shows. We want to rejuvenate, renovate, what have you, our shows. Where should we start?
That's actually a great question, John. I'm working with. Sorry, let me mute my phone here. I'm working with a business coach. I'm working with Matt Radicelli, and we're just talking about budgets. Creating your budget for the next year, and I think everyone should do that. It doesn't matter what size you are, small business, a big business. I think you have to figure out what exactly do you want to set aside for your growth of your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the most important things is, think about think about the items or maybe the lighting or even sound. Think about the things where you want to upgrade, but then ask yourself, how am I going to cover these costs? So if you're looking at, getting into moving heads, or you're looking at just upgrading your lighting system, see how much value there is there for your client going into 2017. If your client says, no, I'm not big into monograms, or no, pin spotting doesn't matter to me, then maybe don't invest into those things. Maybe invest into, well, we want to have an awesome party. Well, what does that awesome party look like? And is it the live sound? Is it the lighting that's going to be creating that awesome party? And maybe put your eggs in that basket. And again, same thing with, asking yourself if they say, well, we really saw this picture of these cool designs in the ceiling, and we saw some really neat things for, what people are doing with monograms now. Then invest in that, because your client's going to invest in that in 2017. So start thinking that way.
Jeremy, we're going to take a little break for our sponsors. Now I'm going to come back. I want you to answer the question or kind of dig into this a little bit before we get into more lighting. Is you mentioned kind of like surveying or asking your clients that you have for 2017 and such. What happens if I want to do lighting and I'm finding out that my response coming back from my current is that isn't important to them? So let's dig into that when we come back, because I think that a lot of us have had issues similar to that. So, gang, this is our sponsors for our DJ and TV Monday night shows coming up.
Top Hits USA from RPM. Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
All right, we're back. Those are our sponsors for the DJN TV Monday Night Live shows. If you're wanting to get some gear or something, go show them some love. Those are the companies that help support the things we do here at Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Before the break, I kind of threw the question out a little bit. Jeremy was talking about doing a little bit of surveying of your clients and asking them, what kind of things they're looking at. Now, what came to my mind, Jeremy, right away is the Photo Booth Expo is going to be coming up here in March, and people are really, it's like, gosh, should I add this or should I not? DJs are still calling and asking that question of me, should we add that? And I'm thinking to myself, I've seen some really cool photo booths, and it's like I'd love to get this photo booth that does this. So I do a survey of my clients, and if I'm getting feedback from them that none of them are interested in that type of service, how does a person handle situations like that? Is that a killer, or is there some other variables I'm not seeing?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I actually I kind of had that question too a couple weeks ago. I was asking some advice from a good friend of mine, Jason Janai, on some things, and he had a great point. He said, start selling it before you have it, and if it's not selling, then don't get it. And you asked, how do you, or what's the tactic then if they say no, we're not interested? Okay, so ask yourself, what are you doing wrong? What is not appealing to that client? And maybe ask them, okay, maybe this photo booth isn't what you're looking for. Maybe this style of lighting isn't what you're looking for. What is it that you would be looking for? And I think that really comes into the way things are presented. So if you go to someone's website and you have a particular bride that wants a very elegant, very calm looking event, and they go to your website and there's hyper rainbow colors going through the room, probably not going to be a good selling point to them. But if you can show them the versatility of what you can do with the lighting, or what you can do with maybe that photo booth, because again, you talked about photo booths, and there's so many different options for photo booths.
Yeah.
There's some that have the GIF animation. There's some that have green screen. There's some that have slow motion, morphing, all these different things. And again, maybe that slow motion is appealing to your client, and they don't really care about the printing the pictures off and people taking them home and throwing them away a week after the event. So again, ask them what is the appealing thing that you might be able to dab into and make that investment.
Very good. Very good. I like that concept of selling before. Sometimes it can bite us in the butt, but most of the time, that's a wise investment. I've heard some DJs, I'm not sure if it was Jason himself or others, but they've talked about that they had, before they made the purchase, they had enough business on the books already that the unit was paid for in its first season because they had pre-sold.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things too that I look at, John, I look at something, and if I don't have it, if I can't pay it off in 4 to 6 events, then it's probably not going to be a good investment for me.
Interesting. Are you talking even some of the more extravagant lighting? I mean, you've got some lights that in your repertoire that are, $1,500 lights, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we actually just purchased. We got our first shipment of the Intimidator Hybrid 140s. Yeah. And man, could I give you a commercial on those things? They're amazing. Actually, I did a shop time video a long time ago when they first talked about them, or they first came out in prototype. I got a sneak peek video on that, so it's on our shop. But we actually used them this last event we did, and again, I mean, people ask, well, I can never get that much money, to do. I would never find a client that would be able to pay that much money for lighting. And really, you have to build that. You have to progress in your clientele. So it's not going to be, well, I'm going to buy $20,000 of lights and I'm going to pay them off in one event. No, I mean, it really comes down to using them for this event, and then using them for that event. And again, looking at it and saying, okay, what type of events would I use this light for? Because a hybrid 140 is probably going to be probably too much for a wedding. Right. But as we're doing some of the bigger corporate stuff, we need that type of light to even get that opportunity to do that event. And again, I mean, a corporate who is willing to spend good money understands that you've spent good money and you've made that investment in them, so they're willing to make that investment in you.
Very cool. So if you invest, let's in our example, you invest $20,000 into lighting, and you're going to be using it for your corporate events. How quickly 6 events, you would like to have that $20,000 cost recouped, or is it something that much would be over 10 events?
Again, I mean, well, when you're looking at something, for instance, we have the big sky scans, they're actually like a 6,000 watt sky scan. Now, with something like that, it's such a specialty item. That might extend out a little bit further into maybe 6 to 10 events. But most of the lighting that we bring in for a wedding, we understand that's an investment that we're making for our client, and we're not looking at a return after 4 weddings that we have to pay those off. We understand that we're going to be using those lights for the matter of 2, 3, 4 years, and we know that we're going to get a return on that because we're raising the bar of what we're doing for our client. Some of the things that I'm talking about, it's going to be more like your uplights. It's going to be in more of your pin spotting. Can I pay off my pin spots in a matter of 5, 6 events? Absolutely. I think we have 120 of the easy pins. They've paid themselves off after the first event. And again, I mean, it's kind of figuring out what my expenses are and how can I recoup those costs in a timely manner. So I'm not holding on to things hoping that I'm going to get my money back on it.
Cool. Just checking the chat room to see if there's anything we need to go. Okay, let's continue. So we've talked a little bit about finding out which direction we should go. Let's say that we have couples that are looking, that lighting is becoming something more popular, and I contend that lighting is kind of goes in a cycle. That we have years where people love lights and they wanted a lot of lighting on the dance floor, and then we go through times where not so much. Let's say that we have a year or a season coming up where they're like, yeah, we want to have more. Where should people start offering more in their services when it comes to lighting?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and really it comes back to asking a question. What is it exactly that your clients are looking for? Are they looking for an ambient lighting for a wedding, or are they looking for an energetic lighting for the dance floor? Now, there's some lights that are going to give you the opportunity to do both. If you're looking for more of an ambient feel, you're going to look at more ellipsoidals, and you're going to look at pin spotting. You're going to look at monograms, which you can do with the ellipsoidals, and just color washes. The wash effects, perfect example. The wash effects was actually originally built to wash a dance floor and to light that thing up like more than you would ever probably need. Mm-hmm. It's such a bright light. And, I just looked at that light and I said, okay, this has more opportunity. And I actually did a seminar, a couple of years ago. It was called Fixture Flexibility. And it showed using a simple wash light and using that the wash effects and using that as a ceiling wash. And we do so much business with ceiling washes because it transforms the ceiling, something that's just usually blank and empty. It allows us to create that blank canvas and add that splash of color on the ceiling. So
hang on. I'm going to hold you. Ceiling wash. Give me kind of describe how you would do a ceiling wash. I'm envisioning just a couple of lights on the ceiling, but you're talking full coverage of the ceiling.
Yeah. I'm going to see, how much time do I have here? Okay. I'm going to see if I can pull up some pictures, and I can show you kind of how we've used the ceiling wash in the past. Actually, let me see if I can open up my website. I believe it's on there. But basically what happens is the ceiling wash is going to fill the entire ceiling with a specific color. My audio is going to kick in. And then basically what that does is you can utilize certain wedding colors, you can utilize certain tones. And one of the things that, again, if you've been to any of my seminars, one of the things I really struggle with is I struggle with fluorescent lighting. And there's a couple of reasons. Fluorescent lighting, first of all, it'll cause problems for your photographer. Okay, because fluorescent lighting, if you have bridesmaids in more of like a burgundy or a maroon dress, fluorescent lighting is actually going to turn it purple in the picture. It's the processing of the light, and it's fluorescent lighting just kind of screws that up. So again, those are just small details that I recognize and that I kind of point out. Okay, I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. Okay, so for instance, this event right here, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Now can you see my screen?
There we go.
Okay. So there's one on the left here. We use the wash effects to actually add some splash of color into the ceiling so you can actually see some of the ambiance. So it's not just around the walls, it actually incorporates through the entire event, because you can't do uplighting in the middle of the room. So how do you incorporate lighting to, carry on through the entire room from the walls all the way to the ceiling throughout? Now, this one here, this is actually the event that was at the Plaza in New York City. And you can see there's actually tones of pinks, but then here they added, there's textures that are added to give a nice contrast. So again, it really comes down to what part of the lighting aspects are your clients looking at? Are they looking at vibrant colors? They're looking at colors that are going to match the tone and the feel of their wedding. Let me see what other ones I have here. Does that kind of make sense, John?
No, that does, and that's what I wanted to show, or have you kind of describe and show, is that ceiling lighting in this particular case, and there's numerous ways. I mean, you're showing another way right there on the roof of a tent, but there's different ways to do it. But it's more than just having a light in this corner and a light in this corner and just having the kind of a soft glow. It can be so much more.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you really have to understand what your client's looking for. And again, that just comes down to the flexibility of that fixture. You can do the same thing with a parcan. How to use an uplight when your bride says, well, I don't want uplights in my room or around the room. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to accent anything on the walls. Okay, well, maybe they want to put it underneath the table and make the table glow. Maybe they want to put it underneath the head table and make the head table glow. Maybe they, want to just use that and hang it up from the ceiling and spotlight the door if you're not using moving heads to spotlight the door. So there's so many different ways you can utilize your current lighting and also look at the flexibility of the fixtures that you might be buying.
Yeah, and that's always a cool thing when a person can utilize current inventory, because lighting can cost a lot very quickly.
I still have, if you talk back to, the lighting from way back, I still have some lights that I've been using for 15 years. The water effect lights, and actually the Martin light, we still use those. We still have just some slow moving, almost like the star ball effect. There's certain events where a bliss light still comes in handy. We've really come away from those from weddings because photographers don't like the green dots all over the bride and groom and so on and so on, which again, I mean, you have to play friendly with, you have to be nice and friendly with the other professionals that you're working with. But there's certain events where that light still comes in really handy. So yeah, I mean, don't just throw out your inventory, because you never know when you're going to need it again. But as you build that inventory, just make sure you're making the right investments that will help you grow as a company coming into 2017.
Jeremy, we've only got about 3 minutes left, and I want you to give me a little thought here. So I'm a DJ. I've got a couple of LED trees just for washing the dance floor. I want to add to my light show. What do you think, from your perspective, would give me the next logical step to enhance my show?
You want to add to the dance floor? Or you want to add to the?
I want to add to my show for the greatest results from the guests. What's going to go over the best?
If you're just doing washes, truly there's some really small moving heads that can, again, kind of take your production to the next level. The other thing you might want to be thinking about too is, if you probably are using those wash lights to hit the dance floor, you're probably not using DMX right now. You're probably using Sound Active. Really push yourself to become better at what you're doing by using DMX programming. I know that sounds scary, and I remember the first time I touched Show Express, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm ever going to get this. But now, again, as you work with it and you start asking people questions, Mikey Mike was huge for me when I started working with it. He was a great mentor for me and allowed me to really understand how to use the program. And then just my curiosity allowed me to grow even further in that. So again, I mean, learning DMX programming might be a great option. But there's simple moving heads like the 255s and some of the smaller moving heads that even Chauvet has and some of the other companies have. You can actually use a remote and you can just aim them to kind of create some of those things, run those auto programs, and maybe program a door spot by using a little remote. So again, I mean, take your wash, add some special effects such as movers, and have a great 2017 with your lighting.
Jeremy, good advice, good thoughts. People would like to contact you with questions or something. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways. You can always email me at jeremy@djjrshoptime.com. You can also email me, I believe it's Jeremy Brech at Disc Jockey News.
Yep.
DiscJockeyNews.com. Yeah, those are the best ways. And then anytime you have questions, comments on any of the videos, just comment to the video. I can reply just like that because it shows up on my phone. And I'm always happy to help people out and help you guys in the industry. So always willing and helping.
Yeah, great stuff. Jeremy, thank you much for being on tonight. For those of you watching, we have the links down in the description below. We're headed to show 3. We're going to have Jason and Mike on next. It should be kind of a fun segment, talking about making your business a profit machine. Jeremy, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks, John.
We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.